I guess first and foremost, just what has it been like since you got to Louisville and started working with the club?
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely fantastic. It has far exceeded my expectations in every way in regards to the club's vision, um, building the relationship with Kim and the rest of the technical staff, and quickly immersing myself as fast as possible to the resources, to the people involved at the front office. I think everybody has a very clear vision in mind. Everybody wants to help each other. Everybody wants to be a part of this movement. And I think this club will continue to be a club, and we will put Louisville on the map. And so I'm very excited and I'm very grateful to be a part of this experience and to be here this season.
Questions, Chris? Yeah, but what was the first thing you wanted to kind of come in and implement to maybe leave your mark and show what you could bring?
Yeah. I think just as an assistant coach, I take my job very seriously in that I am a supporting role. And so how quickly I can build the relationship with Kim, Sergio, and the rest of the technical staff was extremely important to me to better understand what the vision is, and how I can help and how I can help underneath coach that detail and pull that out of the players as best as possible. And so I think for me, my biggest thing coming in isn't about me. It's about what I can do within the system and what I can do in my role as an assistant coach to give everything I possibly can to the staff and to these players and everything that I know that they deserve. And I promise that I will work every single day to ensure that that happens. I'm human. And some days, of course, I may not get it right, but I promise that I will do everything that I can to ensure that I give everything to this club.
How much did you know about how the way Kim wants to play and that style, and what do you like about him to try to bring to it for what he wants to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think leading into obviously the interviews and that whole process, right, of getting hired, you get to know somebody and you get the first impression of someone. And I just got such a great first impression of him. The environment and the culture that he's looking to create is something that I respect a lot. And what he values and what he puts emphasis on is something that I align with. And so for me, it was a no-brainer in that regards.
A lot of the players have already spoken fondly of your coaching style. So tell us a little bit about your coaching style.
Yeah, no, I'm super grateful. And I think for me, it's ever evolving in the sense of what my environment is and what my environment's needs are, what the head coach's needs are, right? And what he wants to put that emphasis on. And so I think for me, it's continuing to evolve. I'm also still young. That's also, I'm a very young coach. And so for me, it's all a part of this learning process too. What can I contribute now? How am I learning? How am I carrying that growth mindset into this role throughout this whole process? And so I think for me, obviously, I just want to give everything that I can on a consistent basis. And I believe that's my job, all the way down to seeing someone walk up and seeing the body language and being able to say, hey, don't overthink it. No, I've been there. I can see it on in your eyes. I can see it in the way that you're carrying yourself. So I think for me, it's just doing everything that I possibly can and recognizing where I can be impactful within the group in my role.
I've been to a couple of practices and observed you coaching. One of the things that stood out in one of the practices was you said something like, don't play the drill, play the game. You would talk to me a little bit about what you kind of meant by that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's oftentimes when you set something up as simple as a passing pattern, right? Players are so eager to want to perform and want to understand what's expected of them in that passing exercise. And through that, I feel that I have a responsibility as a coach to also coach what the game is in that moment. And so if something occurs or some sort of breakdown occurs within the passing pattern, it's life, right? That happens all the time in the game. What's next? Do you force that pass back because I've asked for it to go in, back, and high? Or do you actually just play the game? In that moment, would you ever play back? Probably not. You just break a line and you play high. So just coaching that little detail of it's okay, it happens, it's life, and it's also the game, but also what's the next piece? And the next piece would be to train your brain to play in that game scenario. And so that's what I meant essentially when I made that comment.
The club's made a variety of moves since the draft, and without a GM, I think like you guys have kind of collectively melding minds, I guess, to make some of those moves. Is that something you expected coming in? And what's that process been like to scout out new talent and acquisitions?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think for us as a staff, we've continued to bond and continue to understand what the expectations are, but what we're looking at, right, as a group. And I think for us, it's just been working in collaboration with what the overall vision is and where we feel like, certain spaces that we need to fill or certain spaces that we need to add depth in. And I think there's one thing that I'd like to say is when I first got here, the initial vibe that I got from every single player in this group has been something that I'll never forget. These players want to be the best that they can be for this club and for the city. And I haven't got feelings like that previously, and not necessarily in roles that I've had, but just overall with the heart and then feeling it in the moment of this is something I can't ignore. I think that automatically allows you to push players into different expectations and automatically evolves into where we need to add pieces. It's very clear. And so I think for us, it's just continuing to work as a group and as a collective and making sure that, we're proceeding with those expectations.
Jackie. Yeah, Jackie.
Thank you. Hey, Bev. Hope all is well. I had 2 questions for you, actually. I'll start with the first one. But just as you're talking about being a younger coach and obviously having some newer draft picks on the team as well and having them adjust to it, how do you just kind of use your experience as a former player to lead and guide just some of those younger players as they're, just kind of, just adjusting and adapting?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, taking a lot of what I experienced as a player into this role is going to be incredibly important for me. I've been a rookie. I've been a 4-year player. I've been an 8-year player. I've also been player 2, player 15, player 24. And so within that, what I've learned and how I've learned to create an ability to relate to people and to build relationships with people in that sense, I think is something that I want to continue to carry into this role. And how that I can be there in a coaching sense, but how I can also challenge them and support them and push them and give them the pat on the back when they need. So I think for me, it's just continuing to use those experiences that I recall as a player and using them in this role to better help these players get adjusted as quickly as possible and feel as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. And then also too, thinking of, I guess, kind of a fun question and a little bit broad too, but what has just been your favorite part of being with the team so far?
Yeah, no, I think it's an incredible group. I think it's very fascinating to me to go into the lunchroom or to go in during breakfast time and just to see how much the group mingles. It's never really the same people sitting in the same spots, right? They all really care about each other. They all care about each other's growth within the club. And I think that says a lot in itself. And so for me, the best part has been getting to know the coaching staff and having these opportunities to bond with them. And then also seeing the group and seeing how amazing they are and how much they want to all succeed together already in these few weeks has been very apparent.
For sure. Thanks so much, Bev. Appreciate your time.
Of course. Thanks, Jackie.
I had one question.
Yeah, of course.
Based off of there was an earlier question about how the NWSL is trying to continue to grow and better itself as a league. And I think one of the issues that was revealed was kind of a systemic problem with the way like assistant coaches and coaches address players in terms of constructive criticism and such like that. How would you describe your approach and what you think has to happen for that relationship to kind of build better between players and coaches to be able to criticize without crossing the line?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest piece of that is developing the relationship. I actually think the relationship happens first. So you develop that relationship with the player where you start to understand what makes them tick and what doesn't. And once you've built that relationship, now when you're leaning into them when you need to lean into them, and now when you're supporting them when you need to support them, they automatically understand that your best interest is at their best interest is at heart. So I actually think the relationship comes first. And building that with them. And then their full understanding of, hey, it's not good enough, or hey, that's exactly what we mean. That's exactly what we're looking for in that picture. But it also has to have that balance. Because here's the thing, being a professional athlete is incredibly difficult. You wake up 365 days a year. You think about what you're eating. Did you eat too much? Did you eat too little? Did you drink too much? Did you drink too little? Did you walk your dog too far? Did you not? You're constantly in your head of doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself for the group. And it's very difficult. And I think that if we can continue to build those relationships with these players and be there when they need sometimes just someone to help them up, but also be there when they're starting to get into these scenarios and they're starting to do everything. Now, can we challenge them just a little bit more somewhere else? But we've given them a narrow focus. Now it's time to push to the next level. Now it's time to, and it's just finding that balance and working as much as we possibly can to understand them, and what makes them tick is crucial.
Any other questions for Bev?
Yeah, I've got one final one. You're not too far removed from being a player yourself. How hard is it for you just to not to jump into a scrimmage thing?
It's so funny. I actually get this question a lot. I think that I wanted to be a women's professional soccer player when I was 5 years old and pursued that dream my entire time. And then playing as long as I did at the professional level, to walk away and to go, I just did something that I loved for a living for so long, to have the passion that I had for the game. I cannot now express that I would have an even bigger passion in regards to coaching. So I actually haven't thought about playing ever, and have never really got the itch. If we need the number, we need the extra, okay, no problem. It hasn't really necessarily been the case yet, but I can't express how much my passion has grown for coaching and giving back and using everything that I've experienced throughout my entire life and entire career to give back. And that's really where my passion lies. And you know, I said last year, you know, during one of our games, that I had never felt that way before as a player. And that's how I knew that I'm in something that I now get to say, hopefully for the rest of my life, I'll continue coaching. And I get to say that I did two things that I loved and was incredibly passionate about. And I hope that someday I give that lesson to my daughter.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, of course.